Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. My name is Sister Fatima Hodge. Welcome to We Reflect the Light. All right, sisters and brothers, I want to start off with identifying the black man and woman's true experience, which was horror here in the hells of North America. All right, sisters and brothers, so they teach you that, today they teach you that the black man and woman, experience is a theory or something that never happened, when that's in fact false, a lie. Because we know for a fact that the black man and woman experience is 100% accurate. And it's also not false, saying that it is a theory as if it could have happened or it may have happened. No, this is an actual fact that this has happened to our nation, right? Our history. But they don't want to shine any light on the black man and woman's history. They want to tell you all about the Holocaust. They want to tell you all about the Great Depression, all the things that they suffered. They don't want to tell you anything about the black man and woman's experience. Why is that? And the black man and woman of America experienced the worst experience known to man, sisters and brothers, here in America by these devils, right? So why don't they ever want to highlight that? Why don't they ever want to highlight the black man and woman's history? Because if they was to highlight the black man and woman's experience, then they'll be exposing themselves as being wicked, sisters and brothers, because they are in fact those who did these things to our nation, the devils who afflicted our nation. They are in fact those devils. And if they were to explain and break down our history, they'll be exposing themselves. They'll be revealing themselves as being wicked devils, sisters and brothers, because the acts that they committed on our nation is unimaginable, sisters and brothers. This is what they've done to our nation. Completely dehumanized our nation. Raped our women. Forced us to produce their children. Fed us like animals in pig troughs. Threw our babies to alligators. Cut our babies out of us. Stumped them. Hung us. Burnt us alive, sisters and brothers. And the list goes on. Fed us piss and shit, sisters and brothers. Forced it down our throats. Knocked our teeth out our mouths if we didn't obey. Forced to do unhumane things, living in unhumane conditions, sisters and brothers. This is what these devils did to our nation. Took our minds from us, didn't allow us to think, couldn't read, couldn't do anything for ourselves. This is what happened to the black man and woman of America, sisters and brothers. The worst crime in history. And this is what should be highlighted, sisters and brothers, your history. Because we don't understand that the true depths of these devils, because they hide what they've done to us. So our people think that they're okay and you just forget about that, or, but that leaves you a question in your mind to wonder, the person that's saying that, why would you say that if you're black? Forget about your people, forget about your ancestors, forget about what they've done, right? And once you understand that you are your ancestors, you question even more. Why would you say, forget about your history? Now we're going to get into another conversation. Now, sisters and brothers, as I shared, they raped the black woman, right? And this was all in their plans to wipe out our nation, right? They brought us here, sisters and brothers, in 1555 to this land, America. Now, sisters and brothers, their attempt was to wipe us out, right? So this means that they would commit genocide on our nation, and that's exactly what they did. They attempted to commit genocide on our nation, sisters and brothers, because they were not successful in doing so. If they were successful in doing so, then everyone right now would be devils or demons, sisters and brothers. So that shows that they were not successful in doing so. However, the scripture says a man sowed his seed amongst, right, the wheat. That is telling you that a man, clearly, if the wheat are the original nation, and a man sowed his seed, that's another way of saying impregnating, right? Amongst the wheat, right? So we have to understand that. Excuse me, sisters and brothers, give me one moment. All right, sisters and brothers, excuse me. As I was sharing, what was the man, yes, sowed his seed, right, amongst the wheat, which would give you the chaff, sisters and brothers, because they sowed their seed amongst the wheat, which is the original nation. The wheat represents the original nation. So it said the wheat and the chaff and the wheat, right? The chaff is the bad part of the wheat, right? Which you get rid of, right? So that's how you have the chaff and the wheat. The chaff represents the demons, and you have the wheat that represents the original nation. Now it said this man sowed his seed amongst the wheat, which produced the chaff, right? So that's exactly what I'm about to break down to you all, sisters and brothers. The chaff represents masses black-faced children from the rape of the black woman. Sisters and brothers, we have to understand that this is what the process that they did to try to eliminate our nation, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that they raped our woman in an attempt to commit the act of genocide. So, sisters and brothers, to successfully commit this act of genocide, you have to get rid of the males, right? So they are able to wipe out the bloodline. Once that bloodline is wiped out completely, sisters and brothers, once that bloodline is wiped out completely, you will no longer have that race, right? Ethnicity, right? So that's exactly what they attempted to do to get rid of the black man and woman, right, of America. So they tried to, that was their, sisters, that was their tactic to get rid of all of the males, right? And that's exactly, if you read Exodus, that's exactly what they did because they feared that we were multiplying and that we would join their enemies in war if we multiply, right? And their attempt to stop that would be genocide. Kill all the males, keep all the women, right? Put our seed into the woman, make them have our babies now. Now she's only producing our seed, our bloodline, not theirs. So now that wipes out that nation eventually because there's no more males to produce that bloodline, right? And that was their attempt, sisters and brothers, to wipe us out, sisters and brothers. But thanks to the black woman of America, we are still here because we are warrior queens. We are warriors, sisters, because without us, our nation would not be here today, sisters, because we are the ones who carries the seed, right? and to produce the baby, right? We are the ones to push the baby out, hold the baby in. We are the ones to do that. So without us, there would be no nation, right? So that alone tells you that the black woman of America has done her job. Why is that? Because we are here today. Half of the blacks here in America are original, right? So that tells you right there, excuse me, sisters and brothers. Um, if I explained that properly. Yes, yes, I did. Half of the blacks in America are original. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, sisters and brothers. So this is due to the black woman producing our nation constantly, even through the hard times that they put us through, sisters and brothers. We have to understand that they did not allow us to produce with our own. So that means that should put you in the mindset to think, what did the black woman do to keep producing our nation? How are we still here today if they didn't allow that? If they were killing us, they would snatching our babies out of, that means that she was risking her life to produce our nation. So that alone should give the respect and honor to the black woman because of her strength. Because that takes strength, sisters and brothers. That's powerful. Especially during that time we were surrounded by devils, we were in and they were whipping us, beating us, had us in humane conditions, sisters and brothers. This is the power of our woman because she kept pushing through and kept producing our nation, never let go of our man. And that shows the love that she has for us, sisters and brothers, for that shows the love that we have for our men, our nation, sisters and brothers. So the black woman, you have done your job and you will be honored for that. And you will be put back on the pedestal that you are and deserve to be on, sisters. They threw us under the rug for 400 plus years as if we did not matter. But, sisters, you do matter and you have done your job. And now, all you have to do is complete that mission. And that's exactly what our ancestors would be happy to see, sisters and brothers, because we have to understand that we are our ancestors. So we have to now finish what they have started, right? So they would want us to be totally separated from these devils, complete separation. Sisters and brothers, you all are, let's understand that over the years, our people, don't even realize what's happening and don't even realize they're surrounded by devils, and or don't even know that at all, because of the, like I said, they took our minds from us, sisters and brothers, so that we don't know what's taking place. We're just blind. So I forgot the point I was making. Excuse me, sister and brother, I have to stop speaking so fast. Right. The fact that they took our minds from us and our nation is blind, so our people don't realize who they're surrounded by and what's taking place, which is why we are here to reflect the light and give you the true meaning of who your enemies are. Because if you do not know your enemies, sisters and brothers, you are in fact your own enemies, right? So let's focus on this enemy here, the demonology chart. This demonology chart shows, excuse me, I'm going to make it a tad bit bigger. I might have it cover my face for a moment while I talk, just so you all are able to see this chart. All right, sisters and brothers, so this chart is breaking down the scientific biological fact that the father carries the seed. No matter the color of that child, the seed is what matters, right? So you can have the darkest man be a Caucasian, and you could have the lightest man be a black original man. The bloodline comes from the father, not the mother. Regardless of the mother's race or skin tone, The bloodline is what predicts your nature, sisters and brothers. So if your father's a Caucasian, you are in fact a Caucasian. If your father is a original man, then you are in fact original. You can have a Caucasian man with a black woman. That still produces a Caucasian child. Just has black skin because of his mother. That's why his skin tone is not of his father's. But that's not what matters. The nature is what matters, sisters and brothers. So the nature of that child would be a Caucasian, right? Regardless of what his mother is, right? All right. So we have that, and then you have a black male. You can have a black original male and have a baby with a Caucasian woman. Now that baby is in fact a black original baby, right, sisters and brothers? Because who her father is, which is an original man, regardless of her mother being a Caucasian woman, and regardless of that child being a lighter tone, this child is in fact an original child. That is how the bloodline works, sisters and brothers. The father carries the seed, regardless of what the mother is. The father is the one who predicts the child's nature. And that's what we're focusing on, because we have these devils who has sowed their seed amongst our nation, sisters and brothers. And they're corrupting our body because they look like us. They talk like us, but they are not us, sisters and brothers. They are wolves in sheep's clothing, sisters and brothers, camouflaged in with the original nation. Now, during our servitude, and during our servitude, you all knew them as what? House Negroes. Why were these Negroes in the house? And then you had these Negroes in the field. They never can explain that to you all, right? But that will be a question in your mind, because these house Negroes, they had clothes, they had shoes, they had food, they had certain things that these field Negroes didn't have. They were able to feed massa, they were able to help massa. Why were they able to do these things, but the field Negroes were not able to do that? That is because they were, in fact, Massa's children, from Massa sowing his seed amongst our nation. So they raped our women, and when they raped our women, we produced their children. So they put their children in the house, and that's how you identified as a house Negro, if you were in fact Massa's children. Black-faced children. These are Massa's black-faced children who has the nature of Massa, but they look like us. Like I just broke that down, sisters and brothers. The bloodline comes from the father, and they try to commit genocide on our nation by sowing their seed amongst us, right? And that's exactly what they attempted to do. And they produced 17 million demons and counting, sisters and brothers, that we have today in America. Half of the black nation are their children from raping the black woman. So they think like their fathers, they act like their fathers, but they look like us, they talk like us, they walk like us, sisters and brothers, and they use them as examples for us to look up to, because they are in fact pushing the American dream, because this is their vision, and it's not our vision, but this is their vision, and they know that their vision will destroy us, because their vision is to destroy us, sisters and brothers. And their demons are pushing the American dream, and they know that people without a vision will perish. So, if they're pushing the American dream, that means that is not a vision, right? That means that's a dream. A dream is something that you will wake up from. It's not real, sisters and brothers. So once our people wake up and realize that they are in a dream, they are in a nightmare, they're going to panic, sisters and brothers, because that's exactly what's taking place. You are pushing a dream, meaning something that's not real, sisters and brothers. That's why I said people without a vision will perish, and they made sure that you don't know your vision. And They have a vision, and their vision is on their television. Sisters and brothers, what they call a vision. They're telling you their vision, and all they post on their television is corruption, wickedness, sisters and brothers. Kill, steal, destroy. That's all you see on their shows, on in their music that you're listening to. That's all they promote, sisters and brothers, constantly, constantly, constantly. Why is that? To destroy the minds of the black man and woman of America, sisters and brothers, because that's their vision. Their vision is to destroy our nation, right? So they're making sure that your mind is constantly distracted 24/7 around the clock with their bull crap foolishness that they've put on their social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, um, Snapchat, all these things that they have in place for you to be corrupted in your mind. And they have their demons in charge of these platforms, and brother. They're the ones that you're looking up to. Just like during our servitude when we were in the Holocaust, we looked up to the house Negroes. Why did we look up to them though? Because we wanted to be like them. Why did we want to be like them? Because we were being fed in pig troughs. No clothes, no shoes, nothing, sisters and brothers. So we looked up to these people that looked like us, that had some shoes on, that had some clothes, that had, you know, food, that had certain things that Master gave them because they were his children, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that yes, we were looking up to them because we wanted these things as well. We didn't understand, you know. So we're working harder. We're trying to do things, you know, that is against us to make it into this house. But that's not how you get into that house. And we didn't understand that. And they didn't, you know, and they're not going to make that clear. They're just going to see you working harder and make sure that you never, you know, that you keep that standard of working. Now that you show that you can work harder, oh, you're going to keep that standard of working and you're going to stay in that field. Sisters and brothers, that's not how you make it into the house. You make it into the house because you are Master's seed. And they obey their fathers because they love their fathers. They want the love from their fathers. So everything their fathers tell them to do, they're going to do it. They're spies for their fathers. Everything they're going to tell them what we're doing. Sisters and brothers, they act just like their fathers. They just look like us. So they are, in fact, our hidden enemies. And that's another thing that we did not know we had. And that's very dangerous because a hidden enemy is not seen. And they're your enemies. So that's important, sisters and brothers, because that was one of their tactics to make sure we didn't even see who our enemies were, because or see their children, you know, attacking our nation because they look like us, right? And so that's why they produced them, right? So to corrupt our, they were doing it. However, you can clearly see a devil, right? That's why they produced their children, so they would be camouflaged within our nation, and we would not be able to detect them, sisters and brothers. Which is why the scriptures identify that they would deal shrewdly with us, meaning dealing with us in ways that we don't see coming, right? And that's exactly what they did when they produced these children and corrupted our nation with them, sisters and brothers. These children are like cancer cells to our body. We're one body, right? And you know how cancer works. The cancer cells resembles the other cells, sisters and brothers of the body. So it's hard to detect the cancer cells, which gives the opportunity for the cancer cells to corrupt that whole body and kill that body, which is why cancer is so serious. And that's exactly what their nation has, what they've done to our nation, corrupted our body with their cancer cells, which is these demons that look like the other cells. They look like us, they talk like us, but they're not us, right? Sisters and brothers, they look like us, though. So it's hard to detect them. So they're killing our body. They're killing our body, sisters and brothers, and they're corrupting the body. And that is what they're made to do, sisters and brothers. By nature is what they will do these things by nature because this is who they are. Wicked by nature, sisters and brothers. And we are still looking up to these people as if they are us, and they're not. They're giving you, they're the ones successful in this reality. They're the one that's the comedians. They're the one that's the actors. They're the one that's the ones playing the sports and things like that. That's their children, right? They're the ones that are rich, just like Massa, because they are in fact Massa's children, which is why they are achieving the same achievements Massa's has achieved, sisters and brothers. So they make it seem as if all blacks can achieve the same mission, right? And that's not true because the black men and women of America, the original nation, this is not our body, right? And this reality in this world, this reality at this time is not tethered to our minds, right? It's tethered to their children's minds, in their minds. Sisters and brothers, which is why they're successful in this reality. And this reality is totally against us. So us trying to push this reality and us trying to achieve what they're achieving is killing us because we don't even have the same amount of energy that they have. Sisters and brothers, they have more disposable energy than we do. So we have to understand that we can't afford certain things that they're doing, right? And that if that knowledge will come once you start to receive this light and understand the Injil, because you have to understand, what took place in the science of the universe. So you understand why the black man and woman were classified as slaves, which was fine, which is the reason why we're here. We were supposed to be slaves, right, during this time. However, they decided to afflict us as well, right? So this is why they are going to be punished. It said, do not touch that tree, for you will surely die, right? And that's exactly what they did. They touched that tree and they ate from that tree. And that tree represented the black man and woman of America. It told them, do not touch us. Enslave us, but do not touch us. But what did they do? They touched us, sisters and brothers, so they will be, excuse me, sisters and brothers, so they will surely die, sisters and brothers, because of this. Sisters and brothers, they're cursed. We have to understand that this nation that has done this act to the black man and woman, they're going to be judged for what they've done. And we have to understand that right now, as I'm speaking, we're living out the judgment, sisters and brothers. So the scriptures also identifies that timeline as well, starting in 1555, sisters and brothers, we were brought here, right? All right. First, I want to focus on, before I get into that timeline, I want to highlight the Abrahamic covenant that you all can find in Abraham's vision and the Abrahamic covenant that you all can find in Genesis chapter 15. Now, the vision is verse 13, chapter 15, and the covenant you will find in verse 18. All right, sisters and brothers, and this is in Genesis chapter 15. All right, so in verse 13 of Genesis chapter 15, it says that my people will be in a strange land for 400 years, and they will be afflicted, enslaved, and afflicted for 400 plus years, right? In a strange land, right? Brought to a strange land, enslaved and afflicted for 400 years, right? And those who afflicted my people will I judge after that 400 years, right? After the 400 years, will I judge that nation whom afflicted my people. Now, sisters and brothers, this is the vision, right? The vision was of horror. Sisters and brothers, Abraham had a vision of horror. Why? Because that's exactly what happened to our nation, right? So it says that we will be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years, right? And that's exactly what took place. So, and it said, afterwards will I judge that. So after the 400 years, will I judge the nation whom afflicted my people. So let's do that timeline, right? It said we were brought here to a strange land, and that's exactly what took place. We were brought here from our land, taken from our land, brought to America, a strange land to our nation, right? Brought here, okay? So that we beat that description, 1555, we were brought here. Now, sisters and brothers, it took them 64 years to produce the first Negro bot, to enslave us, to strip us from all knowledge of self, right? So 64 years from 1555 brings you to 1619, sisters and brothers. Now, 1619 was the start of our servitude. All right? It shared that 400 years you will be enslaved and afflicted. Now, sisters and brothers, that start. The first Negro bot was produced in 1619. So that's when it started, our servitude in 1619, sisters and brothers. So we're going to go take 400 years from 1619. And what date do you get to? 2019, sisters and brothers. 2019 was the mark of our 400 years being here in America, sisters and brothers. Of our servitude, sisters and brothers. 2019 gave you 400 years from 1619 to 2019 of our servitude here in America, right? The black men and women. Now, what did 20 in it? Now, the scripture said that. I'm going after that 400 years, right, which was 2019 ended. I'm going to judge the nation whom afflicted my people, right? So, what happened right after 2019? COVID. Sisters and brothers, that leads you to that virus. This is that virus that happened, sisters and brothers, and they shut down their whole economy because of it. Now, this leads you to Exodus because now this is the Passover. And it said that this virus will pass over you. A pestilence will come and it will pass over you, right? Pass over those with the lamb's blood, right? That's exactly what took place. That virus was killing them. So they shut down their whole economy because we weren't dying from it, but they were. And they panicked, sisters and brothers. And this was a clear sign that their judgment has begun. And it began right on time. 2020 came right in with the plague, sisters and brothers. And it did not kill the original nation. And it did not kill the original nation over there in Black Africa, sisters and brothers, because they're original as well. So that's why they were not affected by this virus. But the enemy, of course, they put it over there. They could not have that narrative going around that the black man and woman were not affected by the virus, but they were dying, sisters and brothers. They couldn't have that. So they had to bring that over there, kill all their presidents and things off, as you all can do the research on what they did. And that's exactly what they did, sisters and brothers, to eliminate that idea in your mind that the black man and woman were not affected by this virus and that this was in fact the Passover that the scriptures were identifying, sisters and brothers. This is important for you all to know that we are in fact living out the scriptures. And if we are living out the scriptures, that means these things are taking place or has not taken place just yet, but they are taking place as we speak, right? So these things are not ancient Babylon, ancient history, ancient this, ancient. No, sisters and brothers, these things are, we're living these things out. But that's something that they don't want you to know. Because if you are living out the scriptures, that means the scriptures is in fact your guidance, right? And they don't want you to know that the scriptures are in fact the guidance that you need to be successful. And right now, the time is the Injil, right? The last book of the Bible. This is the book that is going to be your way out of this hell, sisters and brothers. This is the book that you need to upload your mind. This is your mind for the time, sisters and brothers. This mind for this time is going to give you the power to escape this land of our imprisonment, sisters and brothers. And this, we have to understand that the Injil represents revelations. Sisters and brothers, that's exactly what it is. The Injil means revelation. Sisters and brothers, we have to understand that the Injil is the gospel, right? And that's the last book of the Bible. And it is revealing every detail of what's going to take place with the war, with us, sisters and brothers. Every detail is being exposed through the unsealed scriptures that the messenger of the covenant and the son of this, or you would know him as the Son of Man, would come, or the Messiah would come to expose to you all and break those seals and tell us the true meaning of the scriptures, sisters and brothers. And that's exactly what is being done. That means we are living out the scriptures because he is in fact giving us this knowledge to reflect the light to you all. Sisters and brothers, this is where that knowledge has, this is the source of that knowledge. Sisters and brothers, so we have to understand that we are in fact living out the scriptures. So these things are taking place as we speak. Sisters and brothers, judgment began 2020. Sisters and brothers, our servitude in 2019. We have to understand these things. Sisters and brothers, this is all getting that knowledge of self back. Your enemies, knowing who your enemies are, that you have an open enemy. Not only you have that open enemy, but you also have hidden enemies. And you also have a nation whom has stolen your excuse me, sisters and brothers. You also have a nation whom has stolen our identity. Now, sisters and brothers, they're claiming to be God's people, but we are in fact God's people, right? But you have a nation of people who are claiming to be God's chosen, right? Why is that? Because when Elijah Muhammad came and claimed that the black men and women were God's people, they had to counter that claim. Sisters and brothers, they had to, like I shared, they don't want to uplift you. They don't want to give you knowledge, any kind of knowledge or any kind of room to start to think about things and question, right? So they made sure they put these people over there in Palestine to portray as me and you, sisters and brothers, but that is not who they are, sisters and brothers. They're false, which is why they're named false, sisters and brothers, false Israel, sisters and brothers. They're false. They're not who they claim to be. They're not the true seed of Abraham, sisters and brothers. We are. But that's what they're claiming, right? And you have to understand that the true seed of Abraham wouldn't even be in their land yet because the 400 years ended in 2019, right? Of our servitude that it said that the true seed of Abraham will go through, right? So that means they will meet those descriptions, but they don't meet not one description. Why is that? Because they're liars, they're thieves, and they're doing these things to destroy us, sisters and brothers. So if you don't know, then yes, you are in fact in the dark. So you don't know what's taking place. But that's why we're here to give you this light so you know exactly what is going on, sisters and brothers. They don't meet that description of God's people because if that's the case, they wouldn't even be there yet, right? Exactly. And on top of that, they're not even there. Where are they? They're in Palestine. The scriptures identify in Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. It identifies the covenant of the black man and woman, which is our promise, sisters and brothers. It says that we will go back to our land in peace with great substance, right? And it shows that our land is Arabia, not Palestine, sisters and brothers. So that alone, that's another lie that they're telling you, that they're not even in the right land, sisters and brothers. So that's another exposure that they're not who they claim to be. And this is something that you can do your own research on and see the breakdown in the detailed I'm trying to use the word, the detailed explanation that it gives of the black man and woman in God's people. It breaks that down, and they don't meet not one of those descriptions. Sisters and brothers, not one. So we also have to understand that we will be, once we're put in our land, we will be at peace, right? There's no peace going on over there right now. There's no peace going on, period. But there was no peace. There's definitely none taking place right now. And that's because they are at war, sisters and brothers. They're at war. So that's not peace, is it? No, that's not. On top of the fact that it shared that they would not be uprooted. But the scripture tells us that false Israel will be destroyed. They will be destroyed. Sisters and brothers, this is what the scriptures is telling us, that false Israel will be destroyed. Right? So that means they will be they're going to be uprooted. And that's going to be the shock, sisters and brothers, the shock to the whole planet. Because everyone is rooting for false Israel because this is what they're not, they think they're God's people. This is what they're taught from the womb, that they're God's people. But that's not who they are, sisters and brothers. And they don't meet not one description of God's people. And they're going to be uprooted, meaning they're going to be exposed for being liars, sisters and brothers. And we are in fact, God's people, right? So this tells you, this, sisters and brothers, this brings you to why they are, in fact, in charge of everything that the black man and woman, they're in charge of the industry, sisters and brothers. So they're in charge of everything that you're viewing, that you're watching, everything that you're listening to, all the apps, social media, things like that. They're in charge of that because they want to make sure that you never realize the crime that they have committed on you, sisters and brothers. They are in charge of your distraction, right? They are the hand that's holding our nation down, because if they did not have that distraction, the distractions, and all the electronics, all the music and things, and sports and things that they're promoting 24/7, they now have these things, and then it will give room for our people to start thinking for self and doing for self, right? And separating from them. And they can't have that. So they have to hold you down, and they're in charge of it because they're the ones who have stolen our identity. And you have you have America and Britain who placed them there. So we have to understand that they're involved with this as well, sisters and brothers. And they're in charge of destroying our body, sisters and brothers. They're making sure that crime is happening, making sure that our men are in prison, making sure that our men and women are not producing together, making sure that our men are gay, our women are gay. This is what they're doing to wipe out our nation, to abort our nation that's about to be born. On top of that, they're using their demon children to tarnish our image. Their demon children are used to destroy the image of the black man and woman of America because they look like us, they talk like us, but they're not us. And they're, in fact, they're devil fathers, weak and wicked, just like them. So they do wicked things, and they're also, they do wicked things. So they're making our nation look bad because they look like us. But that's not us, sisters and brothers. They're the ones walking around with these golds in their mouth. They're the ones walking around with these pants sagging. They're the ones walking around naked. And we got to understand that our nation has been corrupted, right, from them. So we're also walking around just like them, which is why it's hard to identify who they are and who we are, because we are acting like them because we're surrounded by these people, these devils, sisters and brothers. So we are, acting just like our enemy, demon possessed. That's exactly what's taking place, which is why complete separation is very important, because that is what is going to expose who the true original nation is, sisters and brothers, on top of the fact of, if you're not, on top of the fact of uploading the mind, because if you cannot upload this mind that you need to be successful for the time, which is the angel, you are not a part of this body, because only the original nation will be able to upload this mind, sisters and brothers. So they don't have the capability to do so. So that will expose them alone, and that will eliminate them, right? But they're tarnishing our image, sisters and brothers. So when this event takes place where they want to get rid of all blacks, because, sisters and brothers, that is going to take place very soon. They plan on attacking all blacks because once false Israel goes down, then that gives you the next runner up to be the God's people, and that means that they are now going to be judged for afflicting God's people, because they think they've been blessing God's people, but they in fact have been cursing God's people, which is me and you, sisters and brothers. So when the whole world gets a whiff of that and realize that they've been cursing God's people, we have to get rid of the evidence of this, meaning these niggas, right? So they've been producing their children. They produced their children, rape of the black woman. They sold their seed amongst us, right? So that means that their children look like us, right? So they're tarnishing our image, sisters and brothers. So when this event takes place where they attack us, no one will have any remorse for a bunch of clowns, for a bunch of people who are not producing, a bunch of people who are not, who just take, who are consumers, who are not given to the, this is the mind that they want the whole planet to have about us, sisters and brothers. And their demon children, all they do is shake their butts all day, show their ass. This is what their demon children, the image that they're painting of us. That's not us. That's not us, sisters and brothers. But that's all in the plans of our enemies, sisters and brothers. And as you see right now, the scriptures tells us that Michael and his angels will go to war with the dragon and his angels. And Michael and his angels will defeat the dragon and his angels, right? So we have to understand who these people are. And you have pastors, preachers are supposed to be giving you the light for the time, the guidance, what you need to know, which is your enemies and exactly what's happening. They're not doing that. So some brothers, they're doing exactly their job, which is to destroy you and destroy your minds and take from you. And that's exactly what they're doing, taking from you, taking your money, sisters and brothers, telling you that, you need to pay me before I give you any information, paying these bills in this church. This is not your people, sisters and brothers, because this is a free gift, sisters and brothers. And the angel tells us that Michael represents our God, Master Prophet Muhammad, and then his angels are Iran and Syria, right? His angels are Iran and Syria, sisters and brothers. So they're in fact not against us, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that false Israel is the dragon, angels, right? So we know the dragon is the house of God, right? The house of God and his angels represents America, Britain, false Israel, right? And those are all the opponents that's taking place that are here today, right now, that you see on your television, right? They're telling you that false Israel is at war with Iran, right? Michael's angels are at war with the dragon's angels, right? Sisters and brothers. And it says that false Israel will be destroyed. And then Babylon will fall. America, right? Why is Babylon? Because America is going to experience exactly what false Israel is experiencing, sisters and brothers. It said destruction is near. Sisters and brothers, it said Jerusalem is surrounded by armies, sisters and brothers. Their destruction is near. So it's telling you that false Israel is going to be destroyed. Their destruction is near, meaning they're going to be destroyed, sisters and brothers. So that means, so America is going to experience exactly what they have experienced, sisters and brothers, because they are being judged as well. And it's going to be a total economic collapse, sisters and brothers. It speaks about this in chapter 18 of Revelation. It's a total economic collapse. Babylon fall. Sisters and brothers, it's going to be a shock of the hour. Sisters and brothers, it's going to cause a great shaking to our people because they're going to be in shock that these people are devils, sisters and brothers, wicked, wicked. You're going to actually see them in full-fledged action, that who they truly are. And that's important for our nation to see because we have not seen that physically in our time. So we have to witness this. We have to experience it because experience is the best teacher. So when you experience it, you're going to have nothing to do with these devils, sisters and brothers, because they're going to be attacking all blacks, sisters and brothers, when the false Israel goes down, because now who else is the true seed of Abraham? You and I. So they're going to be attacking all blacks on top of during a famine, a complete economic collapse here in America. America has never experienced that because they no longer will have their lifeline that they need. And that lifeline represents that oil. They need that oil to continue this economy. That's what it's ran from, oil. They were given oil to run their reality. When that's cut off, when false Israel goes under siege, America economic collapse, when that's cut off, that means there's no more heat, there's no more food, there's no more water, there's no more things that you need. Excuse me. Yes, there's no more things that they won't have any oil for their military. They won't have any oil for their weapons. They won't have any oil for their cars, their planes, their transportation. Sisters and brothers, they need oil for everything. It fuels this reality. So once that is cut off, that means there's no more blood pumping into the reality. That means that's hand that false Israel had on top of us, which was holding us down by the distractions, social media, all these things are no longer because there's no internet, there's no power, right? So that means that the hand is now lifted off of us. Ooh, sisters and brothers, that's not good for them because now that gives us time to unite the black man and woman to come together, which is why I said they're going to be attacking all blacks during this time, sisters and brothers, because they cannot have you rising against them and coming against them with their enemies, sisters and brothers. But that's exactly what's about to take place, sisters and brothers. We're about to rise. The scripture said we're going to rise as a mighty nation. And the scriptures are, as I shared, sisters and brothers, we're living out these scriptures, right? So if it said that we're going to rise as a mighty nation, that means that is in the process as we speak. Right now, we're trying to wake up as many of our people as possible before this event takes place, because our people need to know this is what's going to take place before it happens, because you might be a victim because you did not know. And it said our people will perish for the lack of knowledge. For the lack of knowledge, which is why we're here giving you this light, because this is the light that you are going to need to be successful. Sisters and brothers, this is the side that you all are going to have to come and be on to be successful. This is your true body. This is who you truly are. Your nature is not wicked like them, sisters and brothers. We are righteous by nature. And our nature is the five mathematical pillars of Islam, sisters and brothers. That's our true nature. That's how we operate. And our unity coming together. It said we will come together as a mighty nation. It said no weapon formed against us will prosper during this time. And that's going to be it. And we're going to be in the most worst times ever known to man. It said unprecedented, meaning it has never took place, sisters and brothers, especially during the economic collapse. We've never experienced this, sisters and brothers. The scriptures give you a highlight of what could and will happen, but we have to understand that we have never experienced it, so it's not going to ever give you that full picture, but all you can do is get examples of what will be happening during that time. And that alone should, make you want to question and rise, right? So, excuse me, sister brother, excuse me. I forgot the point I was making, sisters and brothers. The fact that we were going to rise as a nation, right? And that we are one body, and that we're going to come together, and we're going to be that higher pressure at that point, sisters and brothers, that we're going to defeat them, because right now we're under them. They want to keep us under their mind. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that they don't want us thinking. They don't want us thinking for self, sisters and brothers, because they want to keep us under their pressure, right? They want to keep us that low pressure, which is why they make sure that you never, were taught anything and things like that, because they want to make sure you stay under them, right? Never rise above them. And that's exactly what's going to happen when we come together and rise as a mighty nation. Sisters and brothers, like the scriptures explained and said that will happen. Sisters and brothers, it tells you that these things will happen. So if we're living out the scriptures, then that, in fact, is going to take place, right? So, I think I know exactly what I was going to highlight. The fact that the scriptures highlight certain events that will happen during this time, just so you can feel and kind of get an idea of the seriousness of the situation, right? So it said that children will be gray-headed during this time. A time like no other, worse than the Great Depression, worse than the Holocaust. Sisters and brothers, the worst time known. It's an unprecedented, not nothing that you can't call police. You won't be able to call the cop. I just said that. You won't be able to call the ambulance. You won't be able to go to the hospital and think you're safe. You won't be able to do these things, because during this time, it's going to be life or death. It said children will be gray-headed. Children will be gray-headed, sisters and brothers. That means they're They're going to be so stressed out that their heads is going to turn gray. That should tell you how serious the situation is. It said that they would not have a woman and the man will not have passion for their children or each other. This is what the scriptures is telling you. That means they're going to be attacking their own children. Mommy and daddy's not even going to be safe. Sisters and brothers, they're going to be freaking out. People are going to be eating each other, killing their families. Sisters and brothers, we don't understand the shock of the hour. It said men's hearts will fail from fear from what's to come. That means it hasn't came yet. That means you're just watching on television. It's telling you that it's coming here. So you're panicked. You're having a heart failure and heart attacks from just that. Sisters and brothers. So these people, sisters and brothers, these people will kill themselves for no reason right now. So they're going to definitely kill their whole families and themselves because this event's going to happen. It's going to affect this whole America completely. They've never experienced it. People have never experienced this. Imagine this. Imagine the mind of our people. They don't want their children to be eaten. They want to eat them. Or they don't even want to be eaten at all. Let me just shoot my whole family and kill myself. You're going to see a lot of that happening, sisters and brothers, because people, you're going to know what's here and you're going to see what's coming, sisters and brothers. You're going to see it with your own eyes, which is why it said that we must flee. And that's nothing the scripture tells you to flee and not turn back, right? That's how serious it's going to be. It said you can't even go back and get your own baby if you left them. That is telling you the seriousness of the time because you can't even turn around and go get your child. That alone should tell you how serious this time is about to be. You can't even turn around and get your child. It said a woman will give birth in silence just to eat her own birth. To eat her own baby. Give birth in silence. Imagine how hard that is to do. And imagine why she's giving birth in silence. Why is she silent? Because people are going to be hungry, looking for food. Sisters and brothers, you don't understand how enhanced your senses becomes once you're fasting, right? And fasting means you're refraining from eating. And these people have never fasted. They don't fast. This is not what they eat 3, 4, 5, 6 meals a day, right? So fasting, people are going to be experiencing something they never experienced, not eating for days on. And your senses start to enlighten during this. I mean, you're going to start hearing better, smelling better. That's why I said she will give birth in silence. Just to have that baby, because people are going to be listening, smelling around, looking for food. Sisters and brothers, you don't understand the seriousness of the time is about to happen. That alone should show you the seriousness of the time. A woman giving birth in silence is, sisters and brothers, I've given birth 5 times, and that's impossible for me. So I definitely would be probably eating, having to do that. Sisters and brothers, having to do that, I probably would be hurt and eating because I wasn't able to do that. I mean, that shows how serious this time is going to be. People are going to be trying to save their lives on top of, hiding. This is because of other people are going to be killing you. That's why we have to understand that our people are going to have to wake up from that slumber. And when we wake up, we're going to rise as a mighty nation. You're going to realize that you're surrounded by demons and devils that hate you. Sisters and brothers, that hate you. And they've been trying to stop our rise, stop our unity, sisters and brothers. Once we come together as that one body, we will be unstoppable. And if this message aligns with you and you feel like this is something that you are a part of, you feel like you're a part of this body, join us by all means, sisters and brothers, because we need as many beacon lights as we can get, sisters and brothers, because our nation needs this light. We're in a dark time right now. You're going to need this. We need to save as many of our people as possible, sisters and brothers, because a lot of our people won't get this knowledge and they will perish. But we're going to try to save as many of our people possible. So this is a vision that aligns with you. You feel like you're a part of this body. Join us, sisters and brothers. Question us, ask questions, research everything that we're telling you, sisters and brothers, because we want you to get that knowledge of self as well. Your mind is a free gift. This knowledge is free for you. This information is a free gift, not we're not charging you for something that's yours. It's yours, sisters and brothers. You deserve it. It's ours. It's ours. And you should not be getting charged for something that's yours. That's the devil's mind. That's what the demons and devils are doing out here, sisters and brothers. So that's another sign of your enemies when they're taking from you, taking money from you, and trying to give you what you need, right? And that's yours. All right, sisters and brothers. So as I shared before, if this light aligns with you, if you have any questions for us, reach out to us, ask questions, become a beacon light with us to rise, wake up our people so they will rise as that mighty nation that the scripture says that will happen. And that means that it is going to take place, sisters and brothers. But we have to do it. We got to do it, sisters and brothers. So with that, thank you for watching, and I will be back with more. Assalamu alaikum.